Hi guys, welcome back to my vlog channel. If you are new here entirely, hi, I'm Fleur and I am going to reflect with you today on 2024, set new goals for 2025, and I'm going to talk you through what my method is for doing that. I love goal setting. I love adjusting my goals when I need to. I love reflecting. I think that the end of the year is a beautiful time to do that. Everyone has their own ways of doing that. I like to make a vision board and make a goal list, and I come back to that list throughout the year. And monthly I do a lot of habit tracking without putting too much pressure on myself or making things unattainable. That way I kind of try to feel my best. I really recommend watching Grace Beverly's video on planning and goal setting, because I think that she has a very clever way of going about it, very practical. I recommend watching that for actual information instead of this video. Let this just be entertaining, maybe inspiring or cozy, while you are also doing the same thing. I'm just gonna be here as a friend, talk you through what I do. So, I am a journaler. I always journal in these Leuchtturm 1917 dotted grid journals. I have this box where I have all my old journals. And I just want to go back to the first one that I had this year. If you watch my YouTube videos, you'll know that I paint on my journals most of the time. These are more than the ones I used this year, by the way. I drew these things, painted these things. I did this. This is the first one that I did. And then I have this, and then I made a couple for my friends. And I really love painting my journals. It's such a fun thing to do. I think that the black one is the one that I started in December. This is one that I did not finish because I was really uninspired by it and I felt that in this period. So there are just bad vibes in the journal and then I don't want to continue writing in the journal. That's really how my brain works and I've really just surrendered to it. I want to get better at that though, but I just don't know how yet. So I'm going to look back through this journal with you and see what goals I have. To give a little bit of context, I moved at the beginning of the year, like January 1st. So there was a lot going on before the new year and after the new year. So this was kind of a pivotal time. My goals and intentions for 2024, I also have them in my notes because I open my notes app all the time for writing music and lyrics, making grocery lists, writing out texts that I'll never send. I always see that note in my phone and I also have it pinned. And then I have some daily reminders with like affirmations and just things that I need to keep in mind for my emotional well-being. So that's my notes app. I'm gonna see what I wrote down here. I wrote down at the end of December. I really like making goals smart, but I didn't do that last year. And it shows. However, I'm not really mad about it because it did still kind of work for me. The first one is spend less money on useless crap. Keeping a budget and spend consciously. Maintaining YouTube as my job. Move out. Having been abroad. Have saved €1 this year. So let's start at the top. Spending less on useless crap. I was so much more conscious of how I was spending my money, which keep a budget and spend consciously. I did the conscious spending. I was not good at keeping a budget this year, so I want to get on top of that this year. What went really well in that is that I did really think a lot more before I spent my money, and I sold a lot of things too and focused a lot on the things that I already had, making a rule with myself to sell something first before I buy something new, that type of stuff. So I'm really proud of that. I just want to actually make a budget next year. So, what kind of happened this year is that I moved to the city, so moved out, but then I moved back home to my parents. So that doesn't really feel like the goal is reached yet, but it also was because I did move out for a while. I did maintain YouTube as my job. I did reach that goal, which was the next one. But because that income is so flexible, I had a really hard time figuring out what my income was and what I was spending because I was living in different places where I paid different rent. That just made it change a lot throughout the year how my budget was, and I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to it. That is something that I want to bring into the next year, is keeping a budget. I haven't figured out how yet, but we'll get to that. Then I have having been abroad on my list, and I have been on vacation to Norway, and I've been to Paris, which was huge for me, and I'm really proud of myself, and I'm really glad that I had that on my goal list and that I got to do it twice. And then the euro in savings, it's a really good goal to have wanted to save that amount of money and add it to my savings. However, I had a couple of major financial setbacks, but it's okay, I worked it out. But that was one of the main reasons that I moved home to my parents, because I lost a huge chunk of my savings. That just takes a lot of time to rebuild. And having experienced financial stress is just, it's truly, truly awful to experience financial stress. I never want to be in that situation again. I learned a lot, and I'm glad to be here now to rebuild my savings. So that amount is probably going to go to next year. I hope that I can save that much. Now I just kind of want to see in my journal how I was feeling at the beginning of the year, and I felt that in this period. So there are just bad vibes in the journal. Anyway, some other goals that I had added to my notes but I didn't add in the journal were selling merch on my ASMR channel and working on my EP. And these are also quite vague goals. The thing is that the merch is in the works. I just haven't started selling it yet. I don't have a sample yet. And I started this year very consciously working on an EP and writing songs. But then, you know, life just happened and other things got priority over that, and I did not finish it. I definitely think I have enough songs for an EP, but do I want them to be released? That's kind of the thing. Probably not. So not the most direct goals, but I didn't have that many concrete achievements because I just started YouTube as a business. I made it into a business this year because I was so focused on my health and recovering. I didn't have those huge set like achievement type of goals. I had intentions, and I always set intentions, so I feel like that's more what this was. So let me show you how this connects to my vision board. Every year I gather my goals and intentions, I get on Pinterest, I get the magazines out that have been in my drawer for over a year because I never read a magazine. I only have ones that are cut up. And I start to visualize what I want my year to look like, what I want more of, what do I want to convey, what do I want to focus on. So it matches my goals, but not in a very literal sense. This is more of a life overview type of thing. It's very reflective here, so I don't know how to properly show you. So I might just add in a photo. It has a bunch of different photos on here, and I will talk to you about them, and I will talk to you about how these have come to life in the past year. Because a lot of it did, and that's really cool. I kind of try to envision my life, like what do I want my year to look like I said. And at the bottom left is a picture of me and my friends, which was one of my main things, was I want to hang out with my friends more. And I really, really did. The next to that is a picture of a cabin, kind of. I drew a lot of cabins this year, and I really felt the pull to escape to a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And then I went to Norway and I spent a night in a cabin on my own, and it was very dreamy. That was just a very cool experience. I also added like flowers and stuff just for the ambiance of it all. But it's really fun because I mentioned this in my ASMR video about my reflections of the year, but this really felt like the spring of my life in the sense that I was just rebuilding a lot and reopening a lot, and there were a lot of first times in a long time experiences. And so I do think that the flowers unintentionally do symbolize what the year was like for me. Between the flower and the cabin, in the middle there is a very tiny picture of a girl painting, and that's because I wanted to paint more this year. And I did. Not as much as I would have liked to, but once again life got in the way and I had different priorities, but when I wanted to paint I did. And I even visited my aunt in Paris, who is a painter. I made a travel vlog and I took a painting class there. So in a way that picture came to life a lot more than I would have ever imagined. And then there is, on the left above the picture of my friends, is two people on the rooftop of a van looking out over mountains. That was because I have a van life dream somewhere inside me, so I just threw it on there. But this does give me a very specific memory. When I was in Norway, there was this hostel that I was staying at, and I was sitting out on a balcony, a porch type of place, and I was looking out over a lake and mountains. I was sitting there with this guy that I met because I made some friends there, and he was really kind to me. It did kind of it does kind of remind me of that. That's just a really lovely memory that I have, and so I do connect that to that picture. We have some more fields and nature things. We have a picture of a girl with her feet out the window with her cowboy boots on, and that was just for me the feeling in that photo is really just that freedom. It reminds me a lot of country music, that photo, and I listened a lot to that this year. I also made a lot of country music. I learned a little bit more how to play the banjo. Then on the top left, up in the corner, you can kind of see a hand doing a mudra, but it's a person and you can see chakras, and that's for meditation, but I kind of hid it away because I had it really prominently on my vision board last year, and this year I just had a bunch of other things that I wanted to give priority to, and so I just let the colors kind of see through, and I know what it means to me. I just for some reason didn't want that to be such a huge factor this year because I was a lot more focused on the practical physical world around me, if that makes sense, in this board. Then I have a picture of a person car camping somewhere. That was because I wanted to camp. I didn't get to do that. I went to Norway, brought all my camping gear, and then it was like 7 degrees at night, and I was not really prepared for that, and because of my low energy levels already being abroad, I was like, I just want to be comfortable at night and be able to sleep well, because I don't want to lose a day there due to extreme fatigue just because I slept in a tent. But I did get to emulate the vibes within, going on a car road trip, eating something on the side of the road, like parking at very random spots, enjoying nature, things like that. And then I have a picture of Len and Stella in a music studio. I really love her as a musician, and I really like her vibe, and that was the picture to represent working on an EP. I didn't go into a studio this year. I talked to a couple of producers who would potentially be able to help me with my EP because I'm really figuring out my sound and what I want. So I just talked to different kinds of people, but nothing really came out of that yet because my priorities shifted. And then on the right corner, I have a picture of a lake and mountains and people swimming in it. And I swam in a lake quite a lot. I swam with my friend. I went into the river with my friends a lot in the summer. I swam in the fjords, and I just wanted to be in water. And I wanted to put that on my vision board as well. Being out in nature. I love it. Then I have a tiny picture of Hitomi Machizuki, who is a very inspiring and lovely creator on YouTube. And this is her doing a yoga pose. And I just wanted to implement yoga into this vision board. And I like that it's her. Like, I really picked women who inspire me, who I know of, who inspire me. Then I have a picture of Lizzie McAlpine. And she is by Bookshelf, which for me represents that I wanted to continue reading books. But what I really like about Lizzie is how she really shifted this year with the album that she released. I really like the way that she writes very honestly, and how she is very open to changing her style. And I don't know, I just find her creatively really inspiring to, stick to your own values and what you want in your creativity and your own voice. So I really like that it is her. And so that is my vision board. And I'm really happy with how it turned out and how much of it did come to life and the ways that it did come to life. I always have it hanging in my room in a place where I can see, and every time I move, I also hung it up in a place where I could see it. And that was very helpful to me. I also have it as a background on my phone sometimes. Sometimes I'll do a different background, but I'm definitely at least weekly actively reminded of its existence. And that was really nice to have a visual anchor, I guess. So I'm excited to make next year's vision board. I'm going to do my actual thinking about how I'm gonna plan and my reflections and new intentions. I'm gonna do that on my own because I want that to be for me. And then once I also have gathered the pictures, then I will come back and we will put it together and I will talk you through what 2025 is going to hold for me. Vibes. Okay, the lighting is strange. The washing machine is on, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. It's maybe almost a week later since I recorded that last part. I got my journal for the new year. I even made some fun pages to start. Yeah, I even made a vision board already. And then the frame broke and I'm not content with it. I did not use pictures that directly had any relationship to my goals, and I figured, oh well, I can just, you know, interpret it freely, blah blah blah. But then I was looking at it and I just didn't feel it the way that I normally feel it, so I printed out some pictures. I'm gonna cut them out and I'm gonna show you what I chose, why I chose them, and what my goals and intentions are going to be, because I have them figured out. I probably won't tell you everything because I do have goals that are private to me or that are, you know, work related, YouTube related, more like statistics and stuff like that. And I don't really want to share that publicly. This time I did set a few more goals and intentions than I did last year because, like I said, last year I was so focused on recovering from my burnout, and now I'm feeling so much better and I feel stronger and I feel like I'm very ready to live my life again. Instead of being in survival mode. So this time I categorized my goals into a couple different sections. So I have work, I have living and finance, I have health, I have experiences, and then I have intentions. So my goals are more direct things that I want to achieve, so I have them phrased like, by the end of 2025 I have done so and so, I have reached X goal. And the intention is more, throughout the year I will blah blah blah, kind of like that. So the work, the living and financial stuff I'm not going to talk about, but for experiences as goals I have that I want to have been abroad twice, I want to have been camping, been to multiple concerts, and I'll have taken a pottery class. That's something that's been on my list for so long and I just keep putting it off. So that's an experience that I just want to have, and so I have to take some steps into actually doing that because it's not a very difficult thing to get done, and I think it's such a fun experience to have. So I put it on my list for this year. And I did add a picture of a pottery class for the vision board. And then I have skills on my goals list as well, because there are certain skills that I want to put my energy into. I didn't count work skills or things that I'm already working on, so I already, you know, am trying to improve my editing and filming and work skills. So I didn't put that on the list because I'm already actively doing that, and I'm making music and singing, things like that. But by the end of 2025, I will have made a sourdough bread at least once. I want to learn how to make it, and it's such a process, so I want to succeed with at least one sourdough bread this year. Like, the bar is really low. One sourdough bread should be very doable, but I'm going to count on it failing a couple times and me needing some time to figure out how to get it done. Another one is that by the end of 2025, I will know the basics about music production, which is another skill that I have been putting off for years. I would be so delighted if I knew the basics on producing music and I could just put together a demo, even if it's horrible, but at least something to show to someone to then help me make it into something that I actually want. You know what I mean? Maybe that was super vague, but picture of person in studio. Oh, I also do have a picture of sourdough bread, yes. And then I also want to learn the yoga headstand because I've been trying that a lot too, and I just go on and off with learning it. And for skills, I want to sew. I know the basics of sewing. Once again, it's just something that I keep putting off, and I'm really excited to just spend time on these things because with having the freedom that YouTube brings as a job, I do have time and space to work on these habits, and I do have the energy again and the mental capacity to learn things, which I didn't have really for the past 2 years. I just, I want to do those things, and I am healthy and I have the means to, so it's time. And then I have a picture of a house, and that's not maybe directly what I would want my space to look like, but it's just on there as a reminder and just as a visualization of home, because one of my goals with home is to move somewhere. I don't know yet where that will be, and I don't want to get into specifics, but home is a big topic for me this year that I want to focus on. And then spending time with friends. I have this little fire pit, people sitting around a fire, just because I want cozy vibes. So I thought that would be cute. The way that I set my intentions, the bar is pretty low, but I want to keep the space for how the year is going to go, how my health is going to be, and what takes priority, because I'm figuring so many things out. I don't know, I just don't want to be too strict with myself, because right now I think that I want to do yoga 4 times a week, but I know that I'm not doing that now. That's not attainable for me now. So I put it on my goals list to do yoga at least once a week. If I want to do that headstand, I'm going to have to do yoga more often than that. If I start by putting too much pressure on myself, I don't end up doing it, and I want to motivate myself. If I do yoga 52 times next year, that's a lot better than the maybe 20 times that I did it this year. So yeah, I'm just putting it at 1 day a week, and that'll be a very attainable goal. And that's something that I will also keep looking at throughout the year, throughout my weeks, fitting it into my schedule. And maybe the goal will change throughout the year, but that's why I have check-in points with myself to adjust when I need to. My intentions for now are that I will have at least meditated 3 times a week, do yoga once a week, generally get regular movement, and read weekly. Those are just the main things, the main intentions that I have. And then I have, different intentions in embracing my cringe and being kind to people and living, more intentionally, more sustainable fashion, things like that. But they're pretty integrated into my brain and are part of my core values. So I don't have to write every single thing down for myself. I just don't do that. I will put these goals that I now have written in my notes. I will pin the note for the next year. And then usually I will take a picture of my vision board, or I will use the same Pinterest photos and make a little collage and put it as my phone background. And that way I am locked into what direction I want to go in, and that is what I want. And throughout the year this changes, but that way I'm reminded of it, and that always brings me back to myself, because I can get very carried away with what I'm doing and what's going on in the world and just the day-to-day things, that I sometimes just lose the big picture or sight of the big picture, and this just puts my feet back on the ground. That is going to be the vibe for next year. I'm really curious to hear what you created, how you set your intentions for the next year, if you do a vision board, or what is something that you want to focus on next year. I would be so excited to hear, and we can keep each other company and motivate each other. I'm sending you all my love. I hope you have a wonderful next year. Know that it's just another day in the week. You don't have to change your whole life. I'm certainly not going to. I just love a moment to reflect. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will gladly see you in my next video. Here's your forehead kiss. Bye.